Welcome back to the Man Cave. Today we're going to discuss some of the things that you can put in your oatmeal besides the usual suspects, so to speak. People usually put blueberries, which is good, or raisins, cranberries, which is good, sliced bananas, things like that, and maybe almonds and walnuts. We've got some walnuts here. But we're going to take a look at some other options. Now, one of the first things I want to point out that you can add is cinnamon. But you want to get this cinnamon, the Ceylon, C-E-Y-L-O-N, because it has virtually no coumarin, C-O-U-R-M-A-R-I-N. I think I've got it spelled right. So the regular cinnamon, which I believe is the cassia, C-A-S-S-I-A, you want to avoid, because that has, I think, about 1% coumarin, and that is not so good for you. It can cause problems with the kidneys and liver, I believe. So the Ceylon cinnamon is the one you want to buy. Now, one of the first things I put in my hot oatmeal is a little bit of butter, so that can start melting. Another thing that you can add is natural maple syrup, especially grade B. The grade B is a little darker and it tends to have more minerals. So you may not realize it, but maple syrup has a large number of antioxidants. It's very good for you. Now, one of the things you'll find when you're mixing things in your oatmeal is it may get a little too dry or a little too wet. So one of the ways I balance that out, I add, for one thing, I add wheat germ. So wheat germ is an excellent source of vitamin E and folic acid and a whole bunch of other great things that you will find. So very little sugar, you got 4 grams of protein in there, thiamine, magnesium, folic acid, 20%, zinc, all kinds of good stuff. Vitamin A, vitamin E, potassium, fiber. So you're going to want to add at least a spoon, if not a tablespoon, of the wheat germ. But if you find that you added too much milk and it got a little too moist, you can throw this in there and balance it out. And I work the milk and the wheat germ together till I get the consistency that I want. Another thing that you can add is chia seeds. Chia seeds are great. They have 5 grams of fiber, 3 grams of protein, omega-3. So you got a lot of good stuff going on here with these chia seeds. So I recommend putting a spoon or 2 of that. Another good thing to add is some organic, unrefined virgin coconut oil. So this is a good thing to add. A spoon of coconut oil melts right in with the heat from the oatmeal. Another thing to look at is bee pollen. If you get this, like I got here from the farmer's market, great stuff, lots of health nutrients from bee pollen, and of course, along with that, you want to have some honey. Now, I like to use with my oatmeal buckwheat raw honey because this is loaded. This is, out of all the honeys, this is the darkest, I believe, and it's loaded with minerals. So I'm going to load my oatmeal up with minerals. Now, you have a couple options here, the Brer Rabbit molasses, but the one that I seem to find more often is the Blackstrap molasses here. Why do I want molasses? Well, let's just take a look at this. Iron, 20%, calcium, 20%. Sugar's not too bad, 11% there. Calories, 42. And then you've got potassium, 600 milligrams. So that's a lot of good stuff to add to your oatmeal, to add your minerals. And I think the Brer Rabbit here is kind of similar. A little bit less potassium, 450 milligrams. Calcium, 20%. Magnesium, 25. Iron, 4%. Good stuff. Now, when I was a kid, we used to have these great poppy seed rolls. And I love the taste of poppy seeds. So I have added poppy seeds. And poppy seeds actually have calcium, magnesium. They got some good stuff in them as well. Now, people are going to get a little squeamish about this one, but I have no problem doing this. I put a little spoon of extra virgin olive oil in my oatmeal. You don't even taste it. It goes in the background. And I tend to recommend California extra virgin olive oil because they haven't had Interpol show up at their door to kick it down and say, hey fellas, you know, you're shipping, you know, enough olive oil for a grove that's about 10 to 20 times the size of what you got. So they tended to be, a lot of companies have been in trouble with Interpol, the international police, because they were watering down their olive oil with canola oil and other oils. And so they were shipping out more olive oil than their trees could have possibly produced. Now, if it's still not sweet enough for you, I recommend some coconut palm sugar. It's low glycemic and it's got some vitamins and minerals. So this is better than using, I think, the brown sugar. This stuff is pretty good. Okay, so you've got 4 grams of sugar in this. A little bit of carb, potassium, 25 milligrams. Calories, only 15. So this is a nice option if you want to add a little more sweetness to what you got with your original setup. So this is the crew here, and I add into my oatmeal in the morning. So you might want to consider 1 or more of these to add to the nutritional value of your oatmeal. Okay, we're going to take a look at making our steel cut oats in the crock pot, a convenient way to do things. So I've already taken one of these basting sort of paintbrush things and spread around some coconut oil. Now we're going to add 1 cup of water into the crock pot. Then we're going to add a 1/4 cup of steel cut oats. Spread that around. We're going to turn our setting on. It's hard to hold the camera here and work this. All right, so we're going to low for the night, and then we're going to add our cover here. Got the cover on. So generally speaking, what you want to do is a ratio of 4 times the amount of water of what you put in for the steel cut oats. So I got a little bag here. This is steel cut oats. You can buy this in bulk at one of your local health food stores. That's the cheapest way to do it. Now, so for 1 person, you put a 1/4 cup of steel cut oats and 1 cup of water. So for 2 people, you just double it. So then you have 2 cups of water and a 1/2 cup of steel cut oats. So that's the ratio, basically 4 units of water to the 1 unit of steel cut oats, and you're going to want to use a 1/4 cup of steel cut oats per person. So obviously you can multiply this to make a large amount. So we're going to let this cook overnight, and in the morning we're going to scoop it out and be ready, having put very little effort in and getting a wonderful steel cut oats, very healthy breakfast. I'd just like to add 1 footnote. I found that if I slept a little too long when I had the setting on low, the water evaporated and I didn't have enough moisture there, and it wound up being overcooked. So if you have a keep warm setting, you may just want to put it on keep warm overnight and never even put it on low. You might find that works better depending on how long you sleep and when you go back to the oatmeal. But if you just have the low and the high setting, then just add some more water. Again, you're going to have to experiment a little bit till you get it just right, possibly. So in any event, I wish you well in cooking your steel cut oats in the crock pot. I'm sure a little experimentation will work out the best combination of the temperature and the amount of water. God bless you.